All right, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, my name is Peggy. I said we will be waiting for a few more people, and it does seem like we really have some couple more people that are still logging in. If we can just be patient, we will give it another minute and see how far we can go, but we will resume as soon as possible. All right, the time now is 6 minutes past 10. I don't think we still have many more people that are still coming on board. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I think we need to get ready to start. And funny enough, as I was speaking, then 2 more people came on board.
No, but I think it's time to start, Biggs, out of respect for all the people that are time youth.
Okay. All right, let's get started then. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us today for our very exciting webinar on the ASC. We welcome you all, and we're looking forward to having you on this journey, and we also are certain that you will enjoy. Just a few rules while we start the webinar. Please, let's all keep our phones muted or on silent. And let's keep our videos off so that they don't interfere with the presentation. If you have any questions, please just hold on to those until you can ask at the end of the presentation, or you can alternatively post those on the chat box. Once again, my name is Peggy Masuku. We have today Jackie Lamberti that will be taking us through the presentation on the ASC, Amended Senior Certificate. Jackie, over to you.
Thanks, Biggs. Hello, everybody. It's so nice to see familiar names, Papi, Shady, to name Shelly, to name just a few. Thank you for joining us and welcome. There's a question about the sound. Can you all just, is the sound too soft or can you hear properly? If you can just give me a thumbs up, because Lucretia's asking. It's thumbs up. Lucretia, I think it's your side. All right, so thank you for this opportunity. If I could ask you if you have any questions, if you can put it in the chat box, and Devon is going to respond to them. And at the same time, at the end of the presentation, we're going to unmute everybody and you can feel free to ask your questions then as well. Right, so what can I tell you about the amended senior certificate? Well, I first have to tell you, for those that don't know, that we have had 25 years experience in adult education. I always say, touch wood, God is kind to us. On the 1st of March, which is what, 2 weeks' time, we turn 26. So we're not the new kids in the block with regards to this. And we see this as an opportunity for people to get their matric or to improve on their matric. You will see we have 14 subjects to choose from. It's 100% CAPS aligned. And what's also good to know is this is version 2, so it has a marked improvement on version 1. You know how things go. Every time you do it again, it gets better and better. Well, we're in the better phase. So let's tell you more about the amended senior certificate. Thanks, Pemi. Features that I'd like you to know about this, which those of you who know about version 1, we've now included, I mean, the ebook is included, but we also now give you an option of buying the hard copy textbooks, because we saw that from our first version that some people actually were happy with the online lessons, but they wanted their textbooks in hard copy, because I think it's what we're used to. So it's entirely up to you if you want to just use the ebooks or if you want the hard copy. Our learning is now in bite-sized print sizes so that your absorption is a lot better. So the lessons are shorter. Gamification to assist. People always like playing games, even adults. We like games. It makes it fun. It incentivizes us. We have a very flexible training methodology, which we'll go through in a later slide. It's self-paced by nature, which is really important for adult education. Some people have got a grade 11 or something 5 years ago, and other people got a grade 11 20, 30 years ago. So your ability to recall what you did then and how you learn is very, very different. So we've got to have self-paced learning in adult education, which we definitely do. We also have an integrated 16-week revision on grade 10 and 11, because those people who aren't aware of it, grade 12 is called your FET. It's actually a 3-year qualification. It's grade 10, 11, and 12. The only thing that happens is the exit exam for it is at grade 12. So it's one long qualification. So you can't just do the jump in at grade 12 if you don't have the foundation of grade 11 and 10s as well. So we try and remind you of that. Thank you. Next slide. So what are the qualifying criteria? Okay, the first one is the person has to be older than 21 when they write the exam. So that means, and we're going to talk about the exams a bit later, but just to tell you that exams for the ASC run in June. They're not allowed to write with the matrics, the school leaving matrics, because they have October, November. Adults have May, June is when the exams are. So you can register and do the course now, as long as when you have turned 21 by the time you write exams. So if you had to start now, you would only be able to write exams in June 2023. So if you're 29, you turn 21 before June 2023, that is fine. We do have a few exceptions for people that aren't 21, and it's because perhaps they're child-headed households and under special dispensation permission from the Department of Education. If you're younger than 21, you can get special permission, but it really is the exception to the rule. It's not encouraged, because the Department of Education don't want our youngsters to leave school without a matric and then have to do the ASC. They're trying to encourage people to stay in school to do their matric there. So the minimum qualification is a GETC or a grade 9, or if you're from my era, a standard 7. But we have found that people who just have a grade 9, and this is having had experience in offering this qualification, people do struggle to go straight from grade 9 into grade 12. So it is permissible, but we don't necessarily recommend it. Or a recognized NQF level 1 qualification, but you do have to have 2 official languages. Or you have an incomplete national senior certificate. So you got to matric, you wrote grade 12, you failed subjects. You can just pick up those subjects that you failed. But the one thing that is also very, very important with qualifying criteria is you do have to have a South African ID or a valid passport and study permit. And we'll get back to that now when we talk about registering for exams. But if you don't have an ID document or a valid passport with a study permit or a work permit, you won't be allowed to register for the exams. Okay, next slide, please. So we've got quite a few people on the program who have a current National Senior Certificate, but they, for example, need to improve on their maths and science marks. That's the most common one because they want to go into something engineering. So that is totally acceptable. We also have people who want to just, well, they failed one or two subjects, so that's fine. They can pick up on there as well. So what happens is once you've written the exam, you apply to Umalusi with your current statement of results and your new statement of results of the subjects you wrote under the ASC, and Umalusi will reissue a new certificate based on the combined results. What we need to remember is why this is possible is because the curriculum that is followed for the ASC is exactly the same curriculum as they do in the National Senior Certificate, our current matrics. It's the same set workbooks. It's absolutely everything is exactly the same. There is only one difference, and that is there's no site-based assessments. And again, we'll go back to that when we discuss the exams. Next slide, please. So these are our subject choices at the moment. You can see we've got 14 subjects. I can tell you that we are developing this year a few additional languages, particularly in the mother tongue. So you can see there's quite a wide range of subjects that a person can choose from. Just like the NSC, you need, well, the NSC, you actually have to do life orientation as well. But under the ASC, we don't do life orientation, I think because the department thinks we're over 21, we should know how to live as an adult. So we need to have 6 subjects out of the 14, and we'll go now to the combinations. So the rules of combination, you have to have a home language or any first language. And then you need to have a first additional language, what we call FAL. So you have to have the 2 languages just as they do in matric. You don't necessarily have to have maths, but we strongly recommend that you take one of the maths. If you haven't done maths up to grade 11, maths core, then we suggest you do maths literacy. But if you want to do maths core, we will only recommend that you do maths or science in grade 12 if you have passed it in grade 11. If you have done a GETC, which is grade 9, and now you want to do matric maths and matric science, we strongly recommend you don't do that because people really, really struggle. The gap is just too big. And in addition to that, so then you would have 3 subjects. If you took your 2 languages and 1 math subject, you would need to register for a further 3 subjects, so that in the end you would have 6 subjects, just as you have under the National Senior Certificate. But just remember, they have the 7th one, which is life orientation. Next slide, please. So we've got flexible training options. We've got the online, so it's what we call as pay as you go. The learner buys the course, they get access to it online. They have learner forums where they can ask questions and answers are given. They do the assignments. We release the memo once the assignment has been submitted, and you mark it yourself. You have access to the reporting system on Moodle. But the one thing I really need to talk about, the self-marking, we don't just release the memo. We show you on the memo where your marks would have been achieved. So sometimes it's really good, well, not sometimes, all times, it's really good for the learner to work through that. If you get a test back that you have written and it's been marked, and you just see the marks, you see, oh, I got 2 out of 5. You don't actually know where the other 3 marks, why you missed 3 marks. So with the self-marking memorandum, it actually explains really nicely what we were looking for those 5 marks. So there's a lot of self-actualization that happens when you do self-marking. Then we have option 2, which is exactly the same as option 1, where you still have the self-marking memos and all of that. The only difference is that we also have marked assignments, 8 tutor marked assignments per course. So you would submit your assignments, your tutor would mark them and give you feedback. And in addition to that, you have a mock exam per course as well that is tutor marked and feedback given to you. And all your contact with the tutor is done via email. And then we have option 3, which is the Rolls Royce of the project, which can be exactly the same as option 2, but it also includes tutor sessions, whether it's on Skype, Zoom, whether it's at the company, it can be face-to-face tutor lessons. So what we do there is we give you tutor support, whether it's weekly or every second week. So you do everything, you get everything for option 1 and everything for option 2, but then in addition to that, you have the support of a tutor. Are there any questions going in the chat box? I can't see them. No, not yet. Okay, so we're fine. All right, so let's talk about durations of the program. Languages and maths require 4 to 4.5 hours per week. The other subjects require a minimum of 4 hours per week. So what you need to remember here is you're looking at a minimum. If you're doing 2 subjects, you're looking at a minimum of 8 hours a week of study. So we have people that jump up and down and say, yes, I want to do my matric, I want to do all 6 subjects at once. And we say to them, please understand 6 subjects at once is a minimum of 24 hours. That's like 3 full days of studying. It's not advisable if you're a working individual. So we recommend that you do a maximum of 2 subjects a year because that's 8 hours. And I say to people, that's 2 hours a night during the week, or it's the whole Saturday or half a Saturday and half a Sunday. It's a lot of time, particularly when you're a parent and you're working and you've got a lot of other commitments. So, but if you're full-time student, 6 subjects, absolutely no problem, you will cope. Suggested facilitation per week. If you're going to do it face-to-face, you're going to need a minimum of 3 hours per group per subject. So if you're going to be doing 2 subjects and it's face-to-face only, you're going to need 6 hours a week of facilitation, and the learner has to spend an additional 3 hours on prep work themselves for the facilitation sessions and homework. And it sounds like a lot, but please remember, those of us that have matriculated, think back to your matric year, how much study you had to put in. Those of us who've got children doing matric, how much study they've had to put in. It's a big qualification. So let's talk about the general enrollment and registration requirements. You may register for any number of exams. So you can register for 6 subjects, or you can register for only 2, or you can register for 1. The department doesn't mind. You can complete it in a single exam session sitting in June 2023, or you can do it over 3 years. The exams are set exclusively and run exclusively by the Department of Education. So this is our only limitation with regards to flexibility. Those of you who work with Workplace and MediaWorks know that we do exams generally on demand even. We can call for them, but not when it comes to the ASC. There's only one setting, which is in May, June, and also just to know that there's no supplementaries either. So people think, well, it's fabulous to do the ASC because I don't have to do the site-based assessments. But then people also need to remember you don't have the help of a site-based assessment when it comes to your final mark. So it's pretty much all or nothing based on that exam day, on that result from that exam. You're either going to pass or if you fail the subject. There's no way around it. And the exam centres are exclusively run by the Department of Education, as I said. So our learners would have to be registered at the nearest community, the CET's, Community and Education Training Centre, the old adult night schools, or just so that people are aware, And it sounds bizarre, but it's really not bizarre. I've personally invigilated there. You could be writing at a local correctional services centre. And it's not to say that the student or the learner would then write in CMAX at Pretoria Central, not at all. They have, where this happens is it's with your petty crime offenders that you would write with, and you are totally secure. You don't have to worry that you're going to be attacked in the prison or anything like that. It's not like the movies at all. As I said, I invigilated for exams there, and it was really not a problem at all. So we will advise where your closest adult education centre is to make sure that you register at your nearest one and your place is booked. Okay, next slide, please. We come right to the heart of it, which is the demo access. Now, we're going to open the floor up to questions now. But if you would like demo access, where we will send you a link and you can have access to a subject and you can start playing around with it to see how it looks, the look and feel of it, you are welcome to please put your, I'm trying to think now how it would be easiest. Well, we will contact everybody on the list and ask you if you would like demo access, and then we will send you a list because we've got your email addresses. In the old days, I would say to you, put your email addresses in the chat box and we will send it to all of you, but under POPI, I don't think that that's legitimate anymore. We can't do that, so we will contact everybody and ask if you would like demo access. Right, at this stage, I'd like to open the floor to questions. So I'm going to ask Pemi, our administrator, to unmute everybody, but please can I ask you that you mute yourself so that the question, or how shall we do this, Pemi, or should people put their hands up? How do you want to do this?
Hello everyone. So if you have a question, I think the best way is to put up your hand, and that way, Jackie, you'll be able to say who can unmute themselves, ask their question, and that will also allow for everyone else to hear the question. So if you've got a question, just raise your hand and then...
Sorry, but I don't think people can unmute themselves. You need to unmute them.
Alrighty, that's not a problem.
Okay, so I see there was a question. Good morning. Is there an option for online registration? There is an option for online registration, and I'm really not trying to be facetious here. It works in some provinces and it doesn't work in others. So I would strongly recommend that you try the online, but that you also have a backup plan where you physically go in and register yourself, because sometimes the online doesn't work. I know in the Western Cape it works very well, but I do know in some of the provinces, the online doesn't work at all. And in Gauteng, this is the two provinces I've personally had experience. It works sometimes in Gauteng, but not all the time. But generally in some of the other provinces, it doesn't work at all. So there is that option. You need, if you do the online, you've got to have your cell phone, because you've got to be able to have an OTP and all of that to be registered. But it's a much easier way, yes, the online registration, provided it works. And how you know if it works is if you get a confirmation or not. So if you don't get a confirmation, please do not think that you have registered online just because you did. You must get a confirmation, a registration confirmation.
All right, we've got another question, a hand up there. Jackie Sizwe, Sandy.
Yes. Let's hear. What's the question?
Sizwe, please go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, good day, everyone.
Hi, Sizwe.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, my name is Sizwe. I'm from Port Elizabeth. I just want to ask two things. For example, if you did your matric with math and physics, and then yes, let's say you failed those two subjects, but now you're no longer interested of rewriting them, is it possible to change those two subjects to some other two subjects that you are provided by the department?
Absolutely. No problem at all.
No, that's fine.
No
Okay.
problem at all. So you can change it to business studies and geography, for example. No problem at all.
And then you can just write those two.
You can just write those exams, yes. And then you would, so I'm assuming the other 4 subjects were passed and...
Yes, the other 4 were passed. Yeah, it's only 2.
Yes.
The other one, yeah. Yes,
that's fine. So
you
submit your old statement of results with your new 2 subjects, and Umalusi will give you a new certificate with all 6 subjects there. So no problem at all. Sure.
All right. We've got another hand up.
Angie, yes.
Angie Bartman. Sizwe, if you could please drop your hand down. Angie, please go ahead.
You just need to unmute yourself, Angie.
Angie, please go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you for the program. I just wanted to ask, I noticed you say that the exam is only in May or either May or June. Is there no longer a November exam for the ASC?
No, there isn't a November exam. That is exclusive for the National Senior Certificates, the NSC. So no, so there's only, I know it's very unfortunate because it's only one bite at the apple, and I've met with the department and I say, you know, these are adults. The ASC is specifically for adults. What happens if a person is literally giving birth when the exams are, which has happened, just by the way, it happened to us with a group we had in Musina, and it's just, sorry. And it really frustrates me, but unfortunately, that's the truth.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
All right, thank you very much, Angie.
You're welcome.
And if you could please just drop your hand. We've got another hand. Shadrach Muhlakwane, please go ahead, unmute yourself and ask your question.
Thank you. Good morning.
Hello, Shady.
Thanks, Jackson, for the wonderful presentation. Yes, I'm having, I think, 3 questions.
Sure.
The first one is the one where you said, Jax, for a person to do grade 12, it's better with a person to start, you know, doing, instead of just moving from grade 9, you go to grade 12. You can do your grade 10 and your grade 11, of which I agree with, 100% with you. And tell me, does MediaWorks also run examination, and when, with the grade 10 and 11?
Shady, we don't. We only pick it up at grade 12. But what I must tell you that we have budgeted for, and we're currently scoping. So this is the people on this call. This is literally hot off the press news for you. We are developing a bridging course.
Yes.
That will enable people to go from, that will cover the grade 10 and 11 so that people have a much better chance at success at grade 12. So that's currently being developed. It's been scoped at the moment. And that would absolutely have to be the precursor to someone who hasn't done grade 10 and 11.
No, thank you, Jax.
So that would address that. Also, what I can tell you now is, well, since that we've opened that door, if you don't mind me using your question here, Shady, is we are currently, it'll be released by the end of April, a course called Essential Computer Skills Online, which is developed for anybody who's doing online learning that doesn't know how to engage fully with online learning. So it's not just teaching people the keyboard and stuff, it's teaching people how to access Teams meetings. It's all the essentials of using a computer specifically for online learning. So please watch this space. There are 2 releases that you can expect. The one by April, the other one a bit later by June, which will be the essential computer skills and then the bridging course for grades 10 and 11 in order for people to cope better at grade 12.
Wonderful, Jax.
Thanks, Shady.
We'll be watching the space as we are saying.
Watch the space.
Yes. My second question is on the requirements.
Yes.
You mentioned the requirements, and especially I'm asking about the where you said a person that is having a passport, the passport will be okay with a study permission or the permission to work.
Yes, you need a permit.
Yeah, that one takes. If a person can produce a proof of that you are working,
I think they would accept that, Shady. I think they would accept that.
They would accept that, because we have people that have been working on the mines for the last 20, 30 years.
Yes.
Yes, then a person maybe may not have that document. I'm just thinking loudly.
No, I'm sure they would, because why I'd say that is particularly if they're in formal employment, and that you would expect that they have had a work permit anyway.
Yes.
So I'm sure they would accept that. And just one thing I didn't mention, and so I'm so glad you're asking these questions, Shady, because it helps me remember. The one thing, you've got to, when you register for the exam, you've got to have proof of your highest qualification. So they want proof that you have at least written your GETC or grade 9. Mm-hmm. Now, let's be honest. I mean, I had this the other day, and our ETQA department at MediaWorks will tell you how they battled with me. I needed to register because I'm head of the institution for Umalusi. They want me to be SACE, which is the South African Teachers Association. They want me to be SACE registered. And SACE wants my matric certificate, even though I've got a degree and a diploma that says I'm more qualified matric. They still want my matric certificate. So I don't even want to go down that road as to how irritated that made me, Shady.
Yes.
But now I don't have, and I don't know how many, I don't even if you have, Shadrach. Have you got your matric certificate?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure, Jax.
No, and it took me.
If you want the proof, I don't have.
No, me neither. So that was exactly, and I kept saying, but I've got a degree. It means I qualified to go to university. But anyway. If you don't have your last schooling certificate and you want to register for the amended senior certificate, then the person just needs to go to the police station and sign an affidavit and say, I completed grade 9 or grade 10 or grade 11 at whatever school in whichever year. And then you need that with your passport or your ID, and then you can register with the Department of Education for exams.
What room you
Oh.
All right. Can I come with the last part?
Yes, the last one, sure.
I'm not sure, Jax, if I heard you well when you were talking about the duration. You mentioned that a person can take any number of subjects. You can take your 6 when you want. You can take 1. You can take 2, and all that. Yes. But there is somewhere where you mentioned that over 3 years, you mentioned that. Then I was not sure if you are saying if I register now for my grade 12, I am going to be given a period of 3 years to complete.
Yes, that's right. So that's a very good question. You've got two options. You can just register for 2 a year, or you can register for all 6 and you can do it over 3 years. We give you 3 years, the department gives you 3 years, there's no problem there. I see there that Rob has just posted a link at the bottom. Robbie, sorry, I just want to see it. I'm doing 2 things at once here. For how where you can register for online for the exams. So yes, Shady. So what happens is a lot of people register for all 6 subjects, but then they actually only write 2. And that's fine. You've got 3 years to do it, so it's not a problem at all. And Rendani kindly said you can apply to the Department of Education for your matric certificate again. Yes, Rendani, I had to do that, and it took me literally 6 months. But you can do that.
Thanks, Jax.
So thank you, gents, for those 2 things. Shady answered all your questions.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thanks, Shadrach.
Moving ahead, thank you so much, Shadrach, for all the insightful questions. It does seem like we've got a follow-up question. I'm not sure, Angie, is it a follow-up question or is it a new question? Angie?
No.
I see your hand is still up. Okay.
No, I think it was just up by accident.
Okay. Angie, if you could just please drop your hand off. We've got another question here for you, Jackie. Portia May, please go ahead with your question.
Hi, everyone. I just want to find out something. Now we've got this person. He has got grade 12, but his marks, they're not good. He wants to further his studies. Can this person then embark on this ASC qualification just to upgrade their marks?
Absolutely. How old is the person, Portia?
Let's say 35.
Oh, yes, absolutely. No, over 21. Yes, absolutely. And then in that case, depending on the actual symbols he got for the subjects, it would be advisable that he stick to those subjects because he's got the grade 10 and 11 foundation there already. But if he really, like the first question before, seems where say no, he really doesn't want to do maths and science again, he has got the option of changing his subjects. He just has to have 2 languages.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you very much, Portia. We've got another question, Lindelwa Mbadlanya. Please go ahead with your question, Lindelwa. Lindelwa, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay. Thank you, Jackie, for the presentation. I just want to understand for option 3,
yes.
What is the minimum number?
Okay, look, there isn't a minimum number, but what you need to take into account is we pay the facilitator whether the person is teaching one person or 10. So it's very expensive to have one person. So your hourly rate is the same. So I would say to you, the question is maximum number. So we don't like to see a class size bigger than 25.
Okay.
But so, there's no minimum number, yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much.
Sure.
All right, doesn't seem like we've got more questions. If any, we still have a bit of time, another 5-10 minutes.
Just to say, we will contact you and send you an option of if you want demo access, which we will give you. I see. I'm assuming that the questions in the chat box have been answered. Andrew, Mr. Anglo. Hello, Andrew.
Morning, Jax. Good morning, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, Andrew.
Just one or perhaps 2 questions from me. And apologies, I joined in late. Maybe that might have been addressed with the presentation. Look, in terms of the department, I think the department in introduction of the ASC is to ensure that those people who do not have matric are to the qualification. Is there have they given any information as to when this will actually, how long will this program run in terms of probably covering the number of people who need the qualification? That's all. That's one part of the question.
Sure.
So do we have an end date as to when?
I do have information, also very hot off the press information, which I will share with you. Yes, that's first question.
And my second leg of the question would be, in the previous years, I think as a way of offsetting, this deficit in people not having this qualification. I think there was a qualification, I can't remember. I know there was a jet card that was spoken of at the time.
You're talking about the NASCAR.
Yes, that one. Now, At what point will we have that being introduced? That will that see the, the phasing of the amendment?
Oh, Andrew. If I had a rand for every date the department gave me for the implementation of NASCA, I would be a millionaire by now. Because it keeps changing, but I have these two questions are linked, so thank you for that. Just so that everybody else understands, if you will bear with me for 2 minutes, I just want to bring other people into the picture here because this is a very, very critical question Andrew's asking. And if people haven't heard of the NASCA, it would do you well to be informed about it. All right, so the NASCA stands for National Senior Certificate for Adults. So it is like, so we've got the amended senior certificate, which is the one we're talking about now. And the amended senior certificate, as I said to you before, is based 100% on the National Senior Certificates curriculum. So it's 100% CAPS aligned. Remember me saying that to you, the same set works, all of that. Then what has been developed under Umalusi is the NASCA. Now the NASCA is exactly what Andrew was saying. It's an option for people to get a matric that don't have a matric, and it doesn't necessarily articulate into higher education at the moment. They wanted it to, but there's a lot of pushback from the universities, from higher education. So the NASCA is based on 4 subjects. And whereas currently the ASC or the NSC is based on 6 subjects, this is based on 4 subjects. The credits are equally weighted as to get 30 credits each so that you get your 120 credits. It's the pilot, and I kid you not, when I first heard about the NASCA in 2011, where it was imminent to be implemented, we're now in 2022. That's why I say if I had a rand for every time the date was coming, it was confirmed to be implemented this year. But one of the hats I wear is the chairperson for the Adult Education Forum at PASA. Now, PASA is your Publishers of South Africa Association. So one of my jobs is to meet with the directorate for adult education, and the person there is David Diali, to get an update for publishers on which qualifications are expiring and which qualifications are going to be re-registered and new qualifications. So my feedback to PASA, which by the way, this is also hot off the press news because I wrote my report and submitted it, and those people that are part of PASA will see that it's going to be implemented next year. It's been postponed for this year. They were supposed to start this year. It was confirmed to start this year, but not enough centers are ready. So the NASCA will be implemented at the moment. They say in January 2023. So as we spoke now, the ASC should be in its teach out phase by 2025. There's an acknowledgement that that's not going to happen because the NASCA needs more time. So if NASCA does start next year, then what will happen is both qualifications will run as an option concurrently. But so the ASC, where we thought would come to its end by 2025, it's been confirmed it's not. So it will start, the NASCA needs to be up and running in all, there's 52 pilot centers that have been identified in the CLCs. It's a national project. They were supposed to start with 30,000 learners. They're saying the pilot is too big, so they are reducing the number to 10,000 learners. And there is no articulation between the NASCA and the ASC or the NSC. Andrew's asking, what is the CLC? Community Learning Center. So your old adult night schools. If that, I'm assuming people understand what I'm talking about. So it's going to, it's going to, sorry, I was just reading the question and I mustn't do that. It put me off my beat now. So anyway, the pilot is supposed to start next year. It hasn't officially started this year. They are teaching their educators, and then they are piloting with the 4 subjects next year. The exams will be run through Umalusi, and Umalusi requested more time as well because they're not ready. I think I know we all like blaming COVID, but in this case, I really do think COVID had a lot to do with it, because I know there were serious setbacks where training couldn't happen because people were COVID positive, and then they would have to close the center down for a while they sanitize and that type of thing. So as it stands, the ASC is on the cards for the next couple of years for sure, for definite. Otherwise, believe me, we also wouldn't be investing in the first additional languages and the bridging course and all of that. And then hopefully NASCA will get up with the pilot phase next year. Does that answer your question, Andrew?
That answers my question. Thanks, Jax.
Sure. Thank you for asking that, because it's very important that.
Yeah, and probably I'm not so sure. I mean, as one of the organizations that are running with the amended senior certificate.
Yes.
And I don't know how if my input would be relevant here in terms of, you know, it's not all the subjects that are offered in the national certificate that are available for the amended senior.
No, that's also true. Thank you. That's also very true. So like we said, life orientation is not available, and there are some subjects. You see, I think the easiest way to explain this to people is that people have some subjects that have a lot of practical components. So the practical component subjects cannot be just examined. So those subjects that have a lot of practical are not available in the amended senior certificate, because remember, there's nobody checking that the amended senior certificate is just like your learner's license, in the sense that when you present yourself to write the exam, the department doesn't ask you, let me see, where did you prepare yourself? Let me see all your assignments you've done. Let me check that you're ready to write the exam. It's nothing like that. You say, I'm ready to write. They register you, you write the exam, you either pass or you fail. That's, as I said, it's a very hard option. So so if there's something that requires a lot of practical and that would have had to be assessed off-site, and that, it's not going to be a subject offered under the amended senior certificate. So it's another very good question. Thank you, Andrew. Any other questions? Thank you, Andrew.
All right. Doesn't seem like we've got any more questions. We are timed to finish at 11 o'clock, ladies and gentlemen. But I see that there's some questions still coming through on
the chat.
Yes. Yes.
But that's fine.
That's being attended to, not a problem. We still have another, let's say, make it 3 minutes before we can shut off. If any more questions, please. Andrew, thank you so much as well for all the questions. They were really helpful, I'm sure, for most of the people attending this seminar today.
So as I said, we will contact all of you, ask you if you would like demo access, and then we'll send you the link. And then please feel free on that email to come back and ask any other questions which we haven't been asked here or covered. If there's something else, if you're like me, it's something, it'll dawn on you half an hour later, oh, I should have asked. So please feel free to do that. We encourage that. The more understanding there is around this, the better it is, the better implementation can handle. All right, I think we're done, Becky. Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you very much for having taken your time off to join us on this very important webinar today on the ASC. All your valid questions are very important for understanding and, of course, moving forward with clear understanding on exactly what is the ASC. And of course, as Jackie has said, you are very much welcome to continue sending through your questions. You can even send your questions through to the sales reps that you are dealing with from the media website. They will be able to respond to any further questions that may come up. Once again, thank you so much. We really appreciate your attendance. We look forward to seeing you again in the future with other important webinars that we will be inviting you to. Thank you very much. It's already block of time. Thank you. Your last word.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye-bye.